I think some people who aren't from the Bay might not understand the gravity of Mac Dre, right? I think that for a lot of people, Mac Dre wasn't a thing until he passed, and that's how they found out about him. Now, obviously, in the Bay, he's a lot different. But I had heard prior to him passing, he was more embraced by the more nerdy like Berkeley rap hippie shit. Like, explain to me kind of the dynamic of Mac Dre and his kind of career and how things changed in the way he was perceived after he passed, even from like somebody like yourself.
I think even the misconception of Berkeley, like people graph Berkeley from Telegraph Street and they think that that's just Berkeley. Like, Berkeley is hood. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's,
right.
You got the South Berkeleys, the waterfronts, like, so all Berkeley, not just what you see on Telegraph Street. Like, you know what I'm saying? Berkeley is like it's a real spot. Like, it's a hood spot. So his fans, though, to, support what you were saying, he had a fan base before he got out of jail. Like, people forget the California Living. People forget the Too Hard for the Radio on his first run.
Right.
Where he sold, hundreds of thousands of records. And
is it safe to say that was before the Fizz phase?
For sure. Yes. Way before that. Then, he went to the federal penitentiary for trumped up charges, and he refused to tell on his friends. He did about 5.5 years, and he came out, and his philosophy was, man, I'm just finna have fun.
Right.
I'm finna just kick it, make some party music, and chill. And Miami created, the term Fizz. Mm-hmm. And it was just about just having fun, like doing the hippie, like creating the modern day hip hop hippie.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand. He went, I won't say under the wing, but let's say side by side with Andre Nickatina. Mm-hmm. And Nickatina was like,
who's another legend who doesn't,
super icon who you won't get an interview out of, you won't anything.
Yeah. But still does like random shows.
Yeah, he'll do when he wants to.
Yeah. You'll be like, Andre Nickatina's performing here?
Like, he's doing this thing now with the symphony where he's like, the San Francisco Symphony is doing his music, and like Nicky's,
I think Ghazi was telling me about that.
I love Nicky. Like Nicky is the dude where he's a guru, man. He talk to you in parables, mm-hmm. and it's just like you sit up and you be like,
see, all that shit just missed me. Being a kid from Phoenix, like the Mac Dre, Andre Nickatina, I was listeing to E40 in a major way. I was listening to the Too Short shit.
So they were underground. So
and
like
Dre
Dog,
hieroglyphics, but like and Celly Cell, shit like that. But that like underbelly.
Yeah, Dre Dog is that's Nickatina. That's like the undercut. So Dre and Dre hooked up. So Nickatina and Mac Dre hooked up. And Dre was like, I'm going to introduce you to these other fans, to these fans that's supportive, to these fans that's going, no matter what you do.
Right.
And we went out on tour, and it was a Nickatina tour. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I thought Mac Dre was bigger than Nicki.
Right.
Until I went to the Seattles and the Olympias and the Salems and the Bellinghams, and I was like, oh.
It's different. He's bringing them out, yeah.
Like, Nicki, huge. So I got a chance to go on a Canadian tour with Nickatina, and I was blown away because mm-hmm. I'm like, we going into cities I can't even pronounce the city, and I'm like, the lines wrapped around the corner, and like Nickatina is just like, wow. So that's the fan base they had. They had like, big shout outs to Santa Rosa, Sebastopol, Petaluma, Ukiah, Humboldt, all of these small cities that people bypass. The normal mainstream hip hop, they go right by these mm-hmm. cities, but these guys made a career off showing love to those fans.
Right.
And until this day, those fans are very still supportive, man. And that's the Bay Area's Chitlin circuit where they go out.
That's real. It's like you get kind of that whole, you could go to Boise. You could
go tour. You go from Seattle to San Diego. And then we jump over, because of course we go to Arizona. We go Boise. And from that area, that Chitlin circuit, a Bay Area artist can make a living.
And now, too,
and a good one.
An LA artist. It's the same circuit.
Most definitely. Because the sound is similar.
Yeah, because the LA shit, like, I'll notice, like, guys, like, I'm always trying to talk to some of my friends and be like, hey, like, how do we get you past Arizona? Or get you past Albuquerque?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's really the key. A kid named Kalen For Real did a good job because he just moved to Atlanta for like a year.
He went crazy when he came to the Bay.
Yeah. So, but he went to the South and tried to break there first, and it kind of worked in his favor because, you know, now he can go to Atlanta and do a show. But I do think that Chitlin circuit is a real thing.
Yeah, you have to tap into the Chitlin circuit because something that people lack nowadays, that they allow social media to confuse them into thinking just because you have followers that you have fans.
True.
And that's a difference.
Fans break bread. They'll buy the shirt.
Followers are just
money on the
kind of
ticket.
like nosy neighbors.
Right.
Your followers are the people that just want to look and they peek through the window.
For sure.
But the difference between followers and fans are those fans are going to say, "Dude, I want that picture. I want that autograph.
The
I
hoodie.
need that memorabilia.
Here's a tattoo, by the way.
Hey,
Yeah.
listen,
Right.
like, you know, I need that. You know, and then that fan they're going to subscribe to your tribe, and that's how you become successful. That's how somebody past the Mississippi may not have never heard of Mr. F.A.B, or past the Rockies may not have never heard of Mr. F.A.B.
Right.
But you come to our area and you're like, wow, you have all of these entities and you have this influence and you ride around town in Lamborghinis and
Right.
Maseratis. You do all of these things, you know, all of the things that they're in awe by.
Right.
But it's because we wouldn't be anything without the fans. And so our Chitlin circuit is it's very impactful and thriving, especially if you go out and you involve yourself and dedicate with them.
So why do you think, and I might be wrong, but was Mac Dre more embraced by the inner city after he passed, or was his influence recognized more once he passed away in terms of just kind of like the hyphy movement and like what kind of came after his death? Because I feel like after Mac Dre passed away is really when the hyphy movement took on a whole new level. And I can, you know, obviously you can give a lot of credit to a lot of people, but I think My Get a Report Card is kind of what brought the hyphy movement to the world. But like, why do you think that he wasn't maybe necessarily appreciated as much as he is now? Because I've never been the guy to, I'm not like, I've never been a big Mac Dre fan. So like, I try to understand, like, because I go to the Bay, I'm like, God damn, this motherfucker. I went and bought a Mac Dre soda in Vallejo. You know what I'm saying?
It's a hip hop fan who's never heard a Jay Dilla beat who would argue that Jay Dilla is one of the best producers ever.
I just had this kid, Cash Kid from Detroit, who's from Detroit. And I said, have you ever heard of Jay Dilla? And he was like, oh, what's that? I was like,
so like, it's just like what comes with the post is people just automatically begin to give you a certain amount of praise, or they continue just because they feel like.
and that's unfortunate because I think we just saw it with Nipsey.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Like the world stopped when Nipsey died. And it was like, where were these people at when Nipsey was alive?
For sure.
Like, you know, now give it credit that there were a lot of people that loved Nip.
For sure.
But was it like that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Was it like that?
It's almost like he had to be fully appreciated for everything he was doing. It's like,
Seldom do you see artists get a chance to receive that love while they're alive.
right.
I think Mac Dre was able to receive that in the world that he was in.
Right.
He was able to feel that. He dropped a DVD called Trill TV, and this is just being in transparency. People in Oakland was just like, okay, that's Vallejo, that's the Romp, that's them, they doing their thing. They wasn't really super crazy Mac Dre fans, not the majority. Of course, you had fans that were already previous fans, you know, in the aforementioned of what we talked about.
Right.
But when Trill TV came out, and people was like, bro, this how he living?
Right.
Like Trill TV showed him in a fate where he had G-Wagon, he had the platinum chain, he had the grill. He was like, he became a superstar.
Right.
And for a long time, the Bay Area hadn't saw that. They hadn't saw somebody in the Benzes and the things that he had, the chains and the watch. And they was like, oh, this nigga saucy. He like, I want to be him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now people want to, they started aspiring to be like him, the lifestyle. So that gave him a level of star power that, you know, it was an avalanche. And on his incline, unfortunately, what took place. So he was rising back up on the end, and so that momentum still pushed forward after he passed, and people was just like, bro, y'all seen that, but y'all didn't get a chance to see it. So it became folklore.
It was like folklore.
It was urban folklore. It was like, y'all didn't get a chance to see it. Yep, we was there. Like, we saw like people tell you their stories of his star power. You know what I'm saying? It's like, Jesus. People got to talking about, we don't know if those stories was true. It's like, man, he touched the nigga, man, and he cured leprosy, man. And when he took the bread and cut the fish up and fed everybody, it was like, the folklore begins to expand. And so that's what it was with Dre. But if you ask me, was he able to feel or smell those roses? I do believe that he was, because he was able to see his impact and how impactful that it was becoming in his resurgence. And unfortunately, it was cut short. 40 and Warner did a hell of a job with packaging up the hyphy movement and selling it.
Right. Shout out to Lil Jon, too.
Most definitely. It was a hall of Warner, TBT, Lil Jon, TBT, 40. They did a great movement in pushing it forward. And a lot of people capitalized off of it from, monetary perspective.
Right.
But I feel like the whole package of seeing it all, if they would have got a chance to see it all, it would have been amazing. Like if you would have got a chance to see Too Short, 40, Mac Dre, Keek,
right,
and then the younger Federation, the team, Fabs, and Turf Talks, and all of the other guys that played a significant role in keeping that snowball going into an avalanche. I think you would have got a chance to see it being broader and being more spoke about, rather than just the folklore of what it was and what it could have been.